Welcome, everybody. And thank you all so much for your patience. I know we are starting the episode a little bit later than normal, about 5 minutes later. I know we usually start about 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for your patience for the little tiny bit of a late start. We had some stuff going on in our kitchen and our super came out to take a look at it. Like water pressure was a little bit weird. One of our electrical sockets stopped working, and it happens to be the one that's attached to our dishwasher. So, little stuff like that. But we're very thankful that it's being taken care of and looked into. So, but yeah, that's the reason for the late start. Not to over explain. But welcome to tonight's episode. And tonight's episode is on bibliomancy. It is another requested topic. And let's go ahead and get started with the intro video. And I probably messed up the audio a little bit in doing that because I took away the source. So if the audio is taking a little while to catch up to the video, that's completely fine and okay and natural. But anyway, hi and welcome to another episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. I firmly believe that, and I also believe that tarot is one of the many ways that you can connect to your intuition, and it is a tool, a divination tool, just like any other divination tool, to help you find the intuition that you already have within. Oh, good. Thank you, Katie. Our tech wizard, Katie, here. Hello. And audio looks fine at the moment. Audio and video looks fine at the moment. Thank you. Thank you for checking that. So like I was saying before, and also like the intro video says, we are going to be talking a little bit about bibliomancy in tonight's episode. And besides bibliomancy being a method of divination that is simply going to a book, flipping the book and turning to a page and asking a question and basically flipping to a page. That is bibliomancy in a nutshell. There are also other facets to it, like there are entire books dedicated to bibliomancy where it's like the little book of answers, or people produce books that have like on one page yes, on the next page no, on the next page maybe, on the next page. It's almost like some people have created this like magic 8-ball style of bibliomancy book that is specifically for bibliomancy, but you can do bibliomancy from any book that you might happen to have on hand. And I think it's a very accessible and understandable form of divination that maybe a system like tarot or like oracle cards or Lenormand might seem a little bit more unattainable or a little bit more esoteric and no, I have to learn it before doing it. Bibliomancy is just like, you got a book, you ask a question, you turn to a page, and that is a possible answer for you. So I feel like it's a very tangible and accessible in that way. And if you've ever experienced doing bibliomancy for yourself before, definitely let me know in the chat what your experience has been. But first off, what we want to do, and how I structure all of these episodes that happen every Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me go ahead and put in my crawler there to say so. Our general structure of these episodes is I start off with introduction, so I've already done that. We start with the astrology from Teresa Reed's wonderful AstroBiz Digest for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then we dive into the topic that I'm teaching that particular night. Tonight, it's bibliomancy. We break for the mid-episode reading in which a lucky participant can be entered to win a 3-card reading with me right here on the episode. And we will probably include bibliomancy in that reading too, because I always like to take the topic and like draw it into the mid-episode reading. I think that's a really nice and tactile way of, solidifying some of the concepts that I'm teaching. We continue with the topic at hand. And then at the end of the episode, I give you the weekend forecast, which is either a tarot card or an oracle card to bring you into the weekend prepared and not scared. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and give me some likes, some hearts, some emojis in the chat, whatever you want to do. And also, I will remind you, if you like these episodes, it doesn't have to be just this bibliomancy episode. If you've checked out my channel on the Tube of You or the Book of Face before, and you're liking what you're seeing, please go ahead and smash that like button. Make sure that you're subscribed and make sure that you click the bell for notifications of the next time that I go live. Now, most of the time it is going to be Fridays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is my live stream schedule, but who knows? I might decide to go live on a random Thursday. And how will you know about it unless you click the bell? You won't. So make sure that you're clicked on subscribed, notified, all notifications, etc., and smash that like button, please and thank you. And Jenny, Jenny is here giving the heart emojis. Yay. And I'm also going to put the crawler here to remind people about the mid-episode reading. So stay tuned to be considered for a live tarot reading. And that is a contest that people enter, and we are going to be using one of the newer beta features of Be Live, which is the lottery jar. That way I don't have to go outside of my Be Live studio that I use, my third-party app, to do this live stream, make it all pretty and nice. I can just stay in the studio and use that lottery jar, and we can pick a winner right from there. So very, very useful there. Let me use another widget there, which is the follow us. So that in a nutshell, follow us means follow, subscribe, click the bell, do all of the things. Okay. And if you would like a personal reading, tarot reading, or a tapping session, or both, you can always book one, tarotbyhilary.com. All right, let's get into the AstroBiz Digest, right? Right? Are we right? Oh my goodness. The astrology of this week has been interesting. And I know, like, the big one from this week, and I know that off the top of my head, is that there was a full moon this week. And true to form, every time there's a full moon, like my mom's job is public facing. And she always notices that that's a full moon, not because of looking up in the sky and seeing, oh, it's a full moon, but because people seem to be taking the loon out of lunatic. Remember that lunatic comes from Luna, comes from the moon. So she notices people's behavior, and then she'll text me or call me, and she's like, Hilary, is it a full moon? I'll either say yes or no. So I think the full moon was this past Tuesday, and sure enough, there was a text from her, is it a full moon? And I said, yes, you're right on the day this time. By the way, the effects of the full moon can be felt a full 3 days before, the day of, and 3 days after. So if you're still feeling that full moon energy, yeah, so is the rest of us. All right, are we ready? Let me pull up my thing for the AstroBiz Digest. Yeah. Hold on a second here. Gotta display this. Katie's saying definitely full moon and Pisces. Pisces everywhere. Yes. Well, we are in, I believe we are in Pisces season. And was the full moon in Pisces as well? So like sun in Pisces and moon in Pisces. I don't know. I might be misquoting that. And Dina, if you happen to be here, Dina is usually a resident astrologer or better at astrology than me. So, Dina, if you're here, please go ahead and speak up in the chat and let us know what's also going on there. Full moon in Virgo. Yeah. I mean, we'll get to the nitty gritty when we get into the AstroBiz Digest. And that's the reason why I subscribe to the AstroBiz Digest, because if I don't, I won't know, and the AstroBiz Digest is a wonderful subscription from Teresa Reed, aka the Tarot Lady. For $99 a year, you go right to, you get astrology in layman's terms straight to your inbox, your email inbox. And it is geared towards entrepreneurs and business owners, but I found it to be very, very helpful in my own personal life. By the way, if you're wondering what's in here, it's not wine, it's coffee. I know I'm probably courting disaster by having a coffee so late, but I was feeling a little bit cold. I want to get cozy. So, and I'm using I'm a lot cooler on the internet mug from Bando, even though I want to like scribble it out and say I am also cool in person too. But I'm cozy. We're in our cozies for tonight's episode. All right, let me see. Where is it? Here. There it is. There it is. I thought I had pushed the source to staging. I thought I had pulled up the AstroBiz Digest, but here it is. And I'm going to turn off that crawler too. There we go. So that I can show the link to the AstroBiz Digest. Make sure to not go there now, but after the episode, you can totally go there. thetarotlady.com/AstroBiz Digest. You can find out more about this subscription and get one for yourself. But this is the reason why I do this every Friday night, is quoting from the AstroBiz Digest for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because I don't want to give away the farm, especially because I want to be able to support Teresa's work. I think it's a fabulous thing to have in your arsenal. And also, I use the AstroBiz Digest on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, to be able to plan my readings, plan any launches that I were to do, any videos that I want to post. And also, when I do email readings, I'm looking at the best astrology, so that the email readings that I do, which are not set during my appointment schedule, they're outside of my appointment schedule. I'm making sure that I am doing your email reading at an astrologically opportune time, where the planets are right or aligned or best for intuition, or love or romance, or whatever it is that you're asking about in your email reading. I'm definitely looking at the AstroBiz Digest before I sit down to do your email reading, to see if the astrology is aligned, to be able to do your reading to the best of my ability. So that's another reason why I really like the AstroBiz Digest. I plan my readings around it. Even when I have client appointments, if I have a client schedule at a time that is astrologically not great, I'll usually reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm looking at the astrology, and it's probably better if we move your reading back to later on today or tomorrow. If we can't, that's fine. Remember to always work with the energy, not against it. But if you're able to, let's reschedule it to a more astrologically opportune time. Anyway, I find it very helpful, and maybe you will too. So let's take a look at the transits, the main transits that are happening this week. But I know the full moon is like the big astrological story that's happening right now this week. Scrolling. All right. Weekly forecast from March 6th to the 12th of 2023. So yeah, Tuesday brings a profound shift when the full moon in Virgo, see Katie, you're right, thank you for correcting me. Full moon in Virgo shows up at 7:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This lunation is best for deep cleaning and editing. If your office is a mess or your writing projects are full of errors, use this day to create order. As you clear out the crud, you'll feel better. After all, who can work when too many things are in the way? It's also essential to do this spring clean because Saturn is about to make a significant change at 8:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time that same day, Tuesday. After a long stint in Saturn ruled signs, this hard taskmaster is putting down roots in watery Pisces. That's very important to know. So, you guessed it, this is not going to be an easy transit. Saturn is focused on work and structure, excuse me, while Pisces wants to float around and dream. The energy is akin to throwing darts in a koi pond. You might hit your mark, but not without many misses. But fret not, there is a way to grok this vibe. Start by getting clear on what you want to create. What is your big business vision? Once you know what that is, map out a 3-year plan. That's how long Saturn will be in the sign of the fish. Yes, 3 years. Then ground yourself, put your head down, and get to work. If you get serious, you will be amazed at what you can create during this transit. And actually, I made sure to write that down in my calendar. I noted it like, I think it was March 7th. I think it was the 7th. I'm not sure. But whenever that was, I marked in my calendar, you know, March 7th of 2026 to check back in. So if you don't write it down, if you don't schedule it, it might not happen. So I am really being conscious of the fact that Saturn is in Pisces for the next 3 years. So there you go. One word of wisdom: Saturn and Pisces can be hell on business boundaries. Entitled types, high maintenance clients, and pushy freebie seekers. You will need to channel your inner Cersei Lannister if you want to avoid aggravation. Be ready to say nope and hold your ground. So, those are the big things that are happening this particular week. Any questions so far? And I'm going to go ahead and hide that. Get back to this and put this up. Yeah, so full moon in Virgo, and on the same day, Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn will be in Pisces for the next 3 years. Not 1, not 2, but 3 years. So remember, keep that in mind that some of these planets are going to be quicker moving than others. And the quicker moving are usually the ones that are more pertinent to our personal lives. But the longer, like, and like the day-to-day stuff, but like the longer term stuff, like Saturn, that's like big picture thinking that's going on. And Saturn is the taskmaster as well. And I know that there are plenty of astrologers out there that have been talking about Saturn in Pisces and what that means, and also talking about celebrities that are in their first Saturn returns and what that means. So you can look all of that stuff up. But I would strongly recommend, if you want to understand Saturn and how it plays out in your life and the lives of the people around you, I would recommend The Little Book of Saturn by Eliza Einhorn. And I believe I did a book review on that. So let me look that up and give that to you before we move on to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Because that book made me laugh with how accurate it was. So you do have to find out where Saturn is in your natal chart. But you can do that through astro.com or cafeastrology.com. Both of those provide free natal chart calculations and also explain what the natal chart calculations mean. But through that, you can find out where Saturn is in your charts. Not only what sign Saturn is in, but also what house, what astrological house Saturn is in. And then when you take that information and you read Eliza's book, you can then understand what Saturn in this sign means for you, and also what Saturn in this house means for you. So hold, please. Yes, that was a book corner. It came out in June of 2018. It's called The Little Book of Saturn Astrological Gifts, Challenges, and Returns by Eliza and Einhorn, published by Wiser Books. And if you want to know a little bit about me, my Saturn is in Libra in the eighth house. And if you want to understand what that means, you'll just have to read the book review. So I'll go ahead and drop that into the chat. But again, don't check that out until after the episode, okay? So it's right here, tarotbyhilary.com/the little book of Saturn. Okay. Let us get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So today, Friday, March 10th, Friday starts on an easy note. It's another stellar day for forging connections and strengthening partnerships. If you're not interested in that, put your good efforts into creative work. You could end up with a ton of content. Yeah, baby. The evening finds the moon void at 6:37 p.m. And shifts into Scorpio at 7:06 p.m. So we're in that right now. Suddenly, depth and intimacy are the modes. The weekend is sublime for research, deep conversations, and organizing your finances. This lunation is also super psychic, so trust your business gut in all decisions at this time. A Moon Saturn trine at 7:51 p.m. makes it easier to concentrate. If you're working into the evening, your output could be spectacular. So today, Friday, March 10th, is a power day for Libra and a weekday for Aries. So yeah, it's been the last few days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday have been power days for Libra and weekdays for Aries. So I haven't been entirely comfortable with that energy. I'm just going to let you know that right now as an Aries, as a card carrying member of the Aries family. So that's what's going on today, Friday, March 10th. Now, for Saturday, Saturday finds Venus in a sextile with Mars at 10:05 a.m., which is an awesome aspect for PR. Use this weekend to increase your visibility, and you could see a lot of new business coming your way. A fantastic time for PR or pitching the media opens up when Mercury is in sextile with Uranus at 4:04 p.m. Considering these two aspects are active all the way into Sunday, you'd be foolish to skimp on your PR. So I'll probably end up scheduling some things. Sunday's Jupiter Chiron conjunction at 1:53 a.m. is super lucky for travel, healing work, and speaking to the collective on tender topics. Two more sweet spots for getting your face out there happen when the moon trines the sun at 12:32 p.m. and Neptune at 6:18 p.m. Be seen and you'll collect the green on this business-friendly weekend. P.S. Don't feel like dealing with the public? Automate some shit. See, that's what I was going to do anyway, Teresa. See, I must be psychic, right? Both days, Saturday and Sunday, are power days for Scorpio and weekdays for Taurus. Whew, that's a lot of information. Jam-packed. So at this time, I would love to open up the floor. If you had some things that were going on this week that were a little bit weird, a little bit strange, and you wanted to know what was happening astrologically, let me know in the chat. So I'll keep that to about 3 minutes, and then we'll move into bibliomancy. And I swear I felt my Fitbit dinging there. Hold on a second. Oh, From Mom, Girl with the Pearl Earring is getting restored. The painting, which we never got to see. We never got to see that painting when we were in um, Amsterdam. Because it was in a very, I think it was in a very specific museum that was about 45 minutes outside of Amsterdam, and it was just not in the schedule for us. But um, there's a funny story about my mom and the girl with the earring painting, where she kind of had a hissy fit um, at a museum. I think it was I think it might have been the Van Gogh Museum, and this was not the same time that we were on vacation. She was on vacation with my sister, and she was just like, "I want to see it. I want to see the girl with the pearl earring." And it's just like, well, Van Gogh didn't paint girl with a pearl earring. Um, so, and then I ended up having to tell her that, and she was just like, "Oh." Not to say that there aren't other paintings in the Van Gogh Museum. I'm sure there are. I haven't gone. We ended up going to the Rijksmuseum when we went. Um, so, but it was just very funny that she had like dug in her heels and she wanted to see the specific painting. And it's just like, well, that painting's not here because it's not by Van Gogh. So, any questions about the astrology of the past week or any particular days that was just like, before we move on? Let me know either way so we can move on. Oh, quick note for all of you that listen to the podcast that I'm a member of. We have two new podcasts for your delectation today. We've got a new Card Slinger Coast to Coast episode, and Melissa is back with us, episode 73, which is WTF? Why is my deck mad? So we dip into the mailbag in that particular episode. And basically, we say, welcome back to Liz. And what is this? A haunted deck? Ooh, thanks. Hilary hates it and Jamie wants to get her hands on it. Um, so you can hear my discomfort in that particular episode, which just got released today. It's pretty funny. And yes, when you hear on the audio, oh, Hilary's spraying the screen, I really was taking my mind, body, and spirit spray that I got from, oh gosh, Tree of Life Apothecary, and I was spraying the screen. I'm not sure if Kendra pumped up the volume for the spray so you could hear it on the episode. It's definitely in there though. I definitely was doing that. And then for my own podcast, the Tarot by Hilary podcast, I just recorded it today. It's freshly recorded today. And that is, I believe, episode 32. What an obscure electronic board game told me or taught me about psychic abilities. So if you remember some of those like electronic but board games from the 80s and the 90s. You might remember the board game Ask Xandar, and that is the board game that I'm talking about in this particular podcast episode, which is based on an article on my website, tarotbyhilary.com. So very amusing. And also I can probably play you the commercial. I've kind of wanted to see if I could put the audio for the original commercial for Axe Xandar into the podcast episode, but I was just like, you know what? Let me not fiddle around with that. Let me just produce this episode and get that out there because done is better than perfect. So those are the two new episodes of the podcast that I'm a member of. So I hope you enjoy them. And if you have any questions that you want the card slingers to answer. So that's myself, Melissa, or Jamie. You can always email us at cardslingerscc@gmail.com. That's where we answer questions. And even if your question doesn't make it onto an episode, we usually will answer your question over email. Because sometimes it takes a little time to get through the mailbag for us, and sometimes we want to record the episodes that are intriguing to us or snarky for us at that particular moment. So it takes a while sometimes to get through the mailbag. If you have a specific question that you would like me to tackle in my own standalone podcast, you can totally do that you can email me. That's fine. Or you can go, let's see. Let me see I have to take a look at this now. I'm wondering about how someone can call in or leave a voice message in the episode, because I believe Anchor FM, which is Spotify's podcasting platform, has now turned into podcasting for Spotify, or Spotify podcasts. So the link may have changed up a little bit. So let me take a look. Yeah, let me see here. Hold, please. Yep, it's different now. It's podcasters.spotify.com/pod. Blah, 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 blah. It's different. It's not anchor.fm anymore. So let me go ahead and drop that into the chat so you guys have that link. And hopefully they retroactively change the past episodes to reflect that. But yeah. Podcasters.spotify.com, pod show, Hilary Perry Haggerty /message. And that way you can record a voice message and I can tackle whatever it is that you want me to answer in an upcoming podcast episode. Or you can also send feedback. Anyway, let us talk about tonight's topic, which is bibliomancy. And I am going to ask all of you, what questions do you have about bibliomancy that you want me to answer in this particular episode? Because the long and short of bibliomancy is you pick up a book, you ask a question, you thumb through the pages, you get a jolt or a feeling or whatever, you hit on the page, and sometimes it's the page that you hit upon, or sometimes you'll hit upon a word. So let me do this right now. Let me show you what I believe bibliomancy to be, and then we can get more in the nitty gritty about like specific books that you can pick up that would work best for bibliomancy, or how do you do bibliomancy? And we can get as precious or not so precious about it. Like you can use any book really to practice bibliomancy, and some people even use their Bible for bibliomancy, or their holy book for bibliomancy, and it becomes not necessarily a prophecy or fortune telling or prognosticator, but more a message from spirit. Or they'll use a book of like daily devotionals, and they'll instead of it being based on like the date, they might choose to flip through the book and then select one and see if that particular piece of scripture is resonant to them, resonant to the question that they were asking, or a situation that they had weighing on their heart or their spirit. That's a form of bibliomancy too. So I just randomly pulled this particular book that I got a long time ago. Let me see. When did this come out? Can't remember when this came out. Crown Publishing published it. And the copyright, I think the copyright's 2012. So this is when this book came out, but I wanted to like make doubly certain or sure. before I show you it. Yeah, I think it's 2012 that this came out. Yes, 2012. So this is a book by Danielle Laporte. It's called The Firestarter Sessions, a soulful and practical guide to creating success on your own terms. It is a hardcover. Bibliomancy, you don't necessarily need a hardcover. You can do a paperback or a mass market paperback. It doesn't matter. Like for example, there's a couple of books that are within reach right now, like my book How to Read Tarot is also within reach, so I can show you that. And I have been doing a little bit of bibliomancy on my podcast at the end of my live call-in shows, where I will flip to a random page of my book How to Read Tarot, and I'll do a little bit of bibliomancy in that way. So let's ask. Let me pull my business card out of there, where I was using as like a bookmark. And let me quickly ask a question about, let's get into the weekend forecast. Let's do this as almost like a preemptive weekend forecast. We're still going to do the tarot card or the oracle card for the weekend forecast, but like this is just an example. So I'm taking this book and I'm going to ask a question. Sometimes you don't even need a specific question, but I think starting from a specific topic or a specific question can be best to focus the divination tool accordingly. And I think that I think I probably feel that way because of how Lenormand kind of like taught me to get more specific with the question. Always go back to the question. Don't like, I mean, there are certain times where a tarot reading can go off topic because it's just like, nope, this is more important to talk about right now. But sometimes it's really great to be able to like pull back and focus on like, well, what was the question that you asked? So I'm going to ask how our weekend is going to go, or what we need to look out for this weekend, or how we need to hold ourselves this weekend. And I'm going to take this book. So this is an example. So Firestarter Sessions. And I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to, what I usually like to do is use my thumb and guide it along the pages. So see what I'm doing there with my thumb? And just think about the question. All right, I'm getting a hit there. Okay, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. So not all of the pages are full page quotes. A lot of the pages are like this. Let me just show you first. Okay, so, regular. And if you were to get a page like that, I would probably open it up, close my eyes, and then use my index finger. And then when I feel a jolt, I'll just stop, and then I'll look at the particular word or the paragraph or the sentence and have that be my answer. But no, Bibliomancy decided to really shine here. And I got this full page. Okay. Strengthened, clarified boundaries, respected, permission, granted, onward. Now, I'm going to read that again. Strengthened, clarified, boundaries, respected, permission, granted, onward. So, do we really need to interpret that? How would you interpret that if that was the message that you received? Because here at the Tarot by Hilary live stream, we have been taught over and over again that boundaries are very, very important. How to set boundaries, lovingly, how to know when your boundaries are being taken advantage of, how to maintain your boundaries, and what to do when your boundaries aren't respected, right? We've had an entire, like, I think 2 or 3 episodes of the live stream. And again, replays are always available. And we've been doing this for the last 3.5 years. So there's a lot of episodes on different topics, but we definitely have at least two, if not three episodes on boundaries. So if you want to search that, you can either search on my Tube of You or my Book of Face for boundaries. You'll find them. Yeah. Thank you, Katie. Thank you for volunteering that. It's nice to know that I'm not the only one called out here on this broadcast. So Katie says, called out is my interpretation. Great. Good. Yep. Yeah. Laughing emoji. So that is a really quick example of what bibliomancy is or can be, or how simplistic it can be. And this is also the reason why I think that bibliomancy is that much more tactile and tangible, because it's just like it's not a system that you need to learn before really getting in there. Like tarot, you do kind of need to learn some of the basic structures in order to be able to start giving readings for yourself and for others. And I mean, there are ways to be able to get to tarot, not necessarily mastery, because like I've been reading the tarot for years. And I would say I'm an expert in tarot. I would never say that I'm a master in tarot, because that's just a sure sign from the universe that I'm going to get smacked down from the tarot. It's just like that's the way it works. So I never presume to call myself a master of anything, because something like tarot can take a lifetime to master, and not even them. But bibliomancy feels more immediate. Like you need an answer, it's there in the pages of the nearest book. So I am going to put a bookmark in there and show that to Mr. Tarot by Hilary, because I know he's going to laugh at that. I know it's going to be hysterical for him. Anyway, Fran says, did that this week. Put my foot down and blocked. Good for you, Fran. Good for you. But that is a very quick and tangible example of how quickly and easily bibliomancy can work. Now, let's get to the actual definition of what bibliomancy is. And I'm probably going to end up going to the Google, to the internet for this. But because I always like to research a little bit about bibliomancy, or something that is just like, I know bibliomancy, but it's always nice to be able to do a little bit of research and see, okay, well, what results come up? Like what are the definitions? How do other people do bibliomancy? And it's just like I never considered like I didn't really consider talking about the Bible or holy books or scripture, but that's like one of the first things that came up when I searched for bibliomancy. So and I think a lot of people do that too. So really quickly, like Wikipedia defines bibliomancy as the use of books in divination. The method of employing sacred books, especially specific words and verses, for magical medicine, for removing negative entities, or for divination is widespread in many religions of the world. Let's see. Dictionary definition would be foretelling the future by interpreting a randomly chosen passage from a book, especially the Bible. Like I really did not know that was, a vital part of bibliomancy. Let's see. In ancient times, for example, the works of Homer and Virgil were used. Is the Bible the only book used in bibliomancy? I could tell you no. Other books sometimes used are the I Ching, the Mahabharata, and the Quran. The process of bibliomancy involves asking a clear question, like I was talking about before, opening the book to a random page and trailing a finger in slow circles until the spirit says to stop. I usually don't do circles. I usually do this. But again, it's up to you. It's your bibliomancy. And there are all sorts of different practices too. Like here, I search bibliomancy and I've got bibliomancy online and it says click to open the book. Yeah, that's cool. Bibliomancy online. Um, the text thus designated can be a prediction or an answer to a previously asked question. And who can practice bibliomancy? Anyone. It's not reserved for the elite. Anyone can practice it. That's part of the reason why I like it. The only limitation is your ability to interpret the randomly chosen passage. It may sometimes seem a little enigmatic. It is also quite possible that it means something clear. It is also likely that you will understand it only in the future. But isn't that always the way with prediction, right? So so this particular website says click on the book cover and a passage will automatically be selected for you, but you may also want to practice the experience in real life. So you choose a book. So you don't just grab a random book. You could, but you would choose a book that you like or that could contain some truths about life. It can be either written by Homer or a collection of poetry. The choice is as wide as your library. You would place the book in balance on a table in one of its corners so that when you drop it, it opens to a random page. I don't know if I would do that. This method works well if you use a big volume. In case the book doesn't open, another possibility is to take it between the thumb and index finger and scroll through the pages. That's the way I like to do it. Stop whenever you want to choose one randomly and close your eyes and choose a random passage. Um, when was bibliomancy invented? I don't know if it was necessarily invented. Maybe discovered, but let's see what they have to say. It was common to use Homer's or Virgil's poems as a basis. The process of selecting a random text was the same. It was common to ask a question and a selected passage was the answer. From the 4th century and during the Middle Ages, the clergy used to exercise bibliomancy with the Holy Bible to guide their decisions. The church repeatedly condemned this practice, but despite these prohibitions, it was still common. In the Muslim world, the books of the Persian poet Hafiz or the Quran were particularly appreciated in the practice of bibliomancy. Um, and then it gives a listing of like bibliomancy versus tasseography, which is tea leaf reading, bibliomancy versus pendulum readings, bibliomancy versus astrology, bibliomancies versus cards, um, and and how accurate can it be? This person, for example, said, "I don't give importance to bibliomancy readings, but sometimes use it online for fun. That is the aim of this particular website, entertainment." And of course, there's always a disclaimer there because whenever we talk about fortune telling, even if it's bibliomancy or divination, we always want to say for entertainment purposes only. That is to protect not only the reader but the readee. So let me go ahead and click on this book here. Hmm. So when I clicked on this book, it says, "The sun was up so high when I waked that I judged it was after 8 o'clock." That is Mark Twain and the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Now, I didn't have a particular question in mind, but maybe I should. All right. I will ask the same question. What do we need to know for this weekend? Let's see if there's a quote that comes up about boundaries in this one. Nope. The sea cows had separated and were browsing lazily along the edges of the finest beaches that Kotek had ever seen. Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. So, you know, your methods and your mileage may vary. But I think it was very compelling. The first example we did was this, and it was resonant for a couple of people that are watching live. And who knows, it might be resonant for you if you're watching the replay. Um, I also wanted to talk a little bit about specific books that are created with bibliomancy in mind. Um, like here, we've got bibliomancyoracle.tumblr.com. So there's a bunch of different websites that are also dedicated to bibliomancy. Let's see. Books used for bibliomancy. I mean, generally, it says like use a book that you find to be spiritually significant. Um, book of Book of Psalms, I Ching, Sutras, the Quran, the Mahabharata, the Vedas, um, and you can also use secular books as well, like The Lord of the Rings or Alice in Wonderland, because I know there are quite a few people that can see those books as a religious experience or spiritual in nature as well. Let's see. There was a book that I was like, and I mean, the reason why I'm mentioning specific books is because I've seen some of that on the market where it's like the little book of I think it was like a cute little book with a red cover, and it was just like the little book of answers. So something like that, or the little book of secrets, or the little book of answers, or the bibliomancy book, or whatever. And you would flip and you would get something like what we just got, where almost all of the pages are designed with larger print. Like, for example, here, how do you want to feel? It might say yes, it might say no. Um, this being well rounded is highly overrated. Um, like, maybe. And it has this kind of like magic 8 ball feel to it. But they can be very wise or deep. And you can also kind of like create your own with a journal or a notebook. Like you can write down like a big yes and then make it pretty if you want to. You can write down a big no, make it pretty if you want to. So actually, we do have another episode in the replay in the archives about creating your own oracle deck. You would use the same instructions that you find there, like in a blank notebook, and that's a way to create a book for bibliomancy. Yes. So Katie says, I got given a book of quotes that taught you to do bibliomancy with it, but didn't call it that. So I had no idea that is what it was. Yep. And sadly, can't find it right now to quote it. That's okay. But if you find it, you can feel free to comment on the replay if you happen to come across it. And I swear I had a bunch of things that I could have used for that. In fact, I was going to go grab it, but it's in the other room right now. But I got on my travels, not this past vacation, but the vacation before it, when we did a Baltic Sea cruise. We ended up one of the stops that we ended up going to was Tallinn, Estonia, and apparently, in Tallinn, and this is something that I didn't know before visiting there. They have one of the oldest. Um, they have one of the oldest still working functional pharmacies in the world, or in Europe, and it's the Old Town Pharmacy. Actually, I can go run and get it if you're really interested, but it's like a book about yay big. And it talks about the history there, and it also talks about the medicines or the ointments or the lotions that they would recommend. Um, and I thought about that, and I'm just like, oh, that would be an interesting book to do bibliomancy with. So I was just thinking about it as I like went through the living room. So, and I also grabbed there's another one that I thought would also be pretty good for bibliomancy. Women Who Run with the Wolves: Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD, which someone was like recommending the like you have to be ready to read this book. And sometimes, like, it's a pick it up, put it down, not think about it for years, and then pick it up again when you're like feel ready. And I'm just like, oh my God, I've had that experience, that exact experience with this book. I mean, like, clearly, like, it's dog-eared, folks. It's just like I've put it in my bag and I've tried. So I'm like rereading it again. But I don't think I got as far as Vasilisa. But something like Tales of Mythology or Myths might also be a good book to have for bibliomancy. So let me go ahead and, huh. So I turned to La Salva Subterranea, Initiation in the Underground Forest. Pretty cool. Didn't really have a thought in mind or a question in mind there. Um, so Jenny says, subtitle, Let Great Books Guide the Way. And Dina's here. Hello, Dina. I have an art book I use sometimes. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be like, I know we just talked about a lot of the examples being wordy, but thank you for mentioning that, Dina. I have an art book that I use sometimes. You might be compelled to go through an art book or a coffee table book, and you might land on a page that doesn't have any words on it, but it might have a piece of art that might be your answer, especially if you're visually minded or you enjoy stuff like the tarot. You might be guided in that way. So let's do some bibliomancy from my book, How to Read Tarot. Yes, it is my book. Have you picked up a copy yet? Have you gotten your copy yet? I hope so. So let's also ask about boundaries, because apparently that came up from the fire starter sessions. So let's ask the question, how can we be better at our boundaries this weekend? And I'm gonna thumb and I'm not looking here. Interesting. So the paragraph that I hit upon, so I hit right here. So you might have to look, it might not be the exact word that you hit on. But the paragraph that I hit on here is, I'm in the Minor Arcana chapter. There is a reason for every single card. In interpreting Minor Arcana, page 114, some keywords and interpretations will be listed, but I have found that the following exercise results in a deeper understanding of what these cards mean. So so I go into the comparing and contrasting exercise. The exercise that I actually cite was the fives and the sevens of the tarot, which we did here in this live stream. But how can we be better at boundaries this weekend is, I think, going back to, there is a reason for every single card. There is a reason for boundaries. Knowing the reason might help us to be able to establish our boundaries better and maintain them better. Again, it's another quick example. So, how is everyone doing with the topic of bibliomancy? Is there anything you learned in particular? Is there any way that you do bibliomancy that differs to what I've been saying? Please feel free to say it in the chat. And then we'll move into the mid-episode reading, which may end up being the 3/4 of an episode reading. But that doesn't really run off the tongue as well as the mid-episode reading, does it? Mm, that's a good question. Um, so Jenny is asking, I just wondered what types of questions to ask if you're doing a bibliomancy reading. To me, there's no real question that's necessarily off limits, but it is kind of like framing your question so that you can get the best possible answer of that divination tool. So, probably more pointed and specific questions so that you can take that question and then, with the answer that you get from the bibliomancy, be able to interpret it that much easier. Because not everything is going to be like a home run. Clearly, from what we just did there. And also, you may fall into the category, or there have been some people, but mostly not the viewers or the regular the regular viewers of this live stream. Um, but there are some people that will treat bibliomancy in the same way as flitting from tarot card reader to tarot card reader or psychic to psychic, trying to seek out the answer that they want, not necessarily the answer that the person is giving them. So just be aware of those tendencies. If you happen to have those tendencies, then maybe bibliomancy is not for you. Not everything is a sign. Sometimes a cave is a cave, and sometimes, you know, a log is a log. Not everything is a sign. I mean, I actually dealt with a client of mine that was just like, well, this was a sign and this was a sign. I'm just like, you're going to drive yourself nuts doing that. Like, not everything is a sign, and it's just like, and then some people are don't even look at signs like that. They're just like, I need a signier sign when it's like staring them in the face, and it's just like, how much more clear can the sign be? So yeah. I hope that helps, Jenny. I'm not saying it's like you're like that. I'm not saying that at all, but some people do have those tendencies. Any other questions before we move into the mid-episode reading? I like that though, Jenny. Thank you. Question about questions. And I always have so if you're a little bit lost or caught up in like framing questions, I do have a an article on that, empower your readings, how to frame questions for the tarot, that can actually work pretty well with most divination systems. It doesn't have to be tarot. And actually, I think I quoted from this particular book, um, when I wrote that particular article. So let me go ahead and find that. But that article is basically included, like, whenever somebody books a reading with me, I link to that article that I wrote so that they have some expectations before going into a reading, and also to empower them to ask. It's just like, I don't know how to frame this. I don't know if I can ask this. Like, never be afraid to approach your reader, your psychic reader, your tarot reader with, like, I don't know how to frame this. Most readers will help you to frame that question so that you have a more specific answer. Because it's just like, sometimes it's not about the answers, it's about the question. It's just like, you ask a good question, you're probably going to get a good answer. If you ask kind of a vague question, you're probably going to end up getting a vague answer. So the power of framing a good question for divination cannot be understated. So it's a great question. Questions about questions, Jenny. Yeah, and this is a pretty easy URL to remember, but it's just tarotbyhilary.com/, how to frame questions. So I'll drop that into the chat, and you guys can check that out after the episode. I'll just show it on screen for a second there. If you need to, you can take a screenshot of it. And that way you can check that out. But also, if you book a reading with me, don't be surprised if you get that link in your confirmation email, because that's how I easily manage expectations of like what a tarot reading is and is not, and what questions are, how to phrase questions that'll get the most empowering reading. And also, yeah, the quote that I definitely quoted from this. Asking the proper question is the central action of transformation in fairy tales, in analysis, and in individuation. The key question causes germination of consciousness. The properly shaped question always emanates from an essential curiosity about what stands behind. Questions are the keys that cause the secret doors of the psyche to swing open. Don't know exactly which page that's on, but it's definitely from here. And probably in the introductory materials. And that's part of the reason why she uses, it's basically she uses these myths to explain very essential questions about what it means to be a wild woman, what it means to show the wild woman archetype, and how to understand yourself, like the first stories. Yeah, I didn't wait a minute, where is Vasilisa? um yeah, I didn't get past the third chapter because it was just like it's a lot. It's natural predator of the psyche, naive women as prey, the key to knowing the importance of snuffling. um I don't know if you guys heard that horn going off. Yeah, it's I would highly recommend it, even though like I struggle with this, like picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down. But yeah. Yeah, so but I wrote this not just to answer the question about questions, but also to make sure that I had some kind of reference material to give my prospective clients, so that they are entering into a reading about what they can and cannot ask the tarot. And it's just like you can ask the tarot pretty much anything you want to, but it is about phrasing. Like, I'm not quite sure how to phrase my question. I'm not sure if I can ask this, or how do I ask this. But most experienced readers are very open to helping you rephrase questions so that you can get the best experience of the tarot or the divination method. And you're very welcome, Jenny. All right, are we ready for the mid episode reading? It's mid episode reading time. So notice how underneath on the crawler it says stay tuned to be considered for a live tarot reading. That time is now. So the instructions for the mid episode reading, and again, this is a contest. You can enter it every week. One person will win every week, and the live reading the reading will happen live right now. But and if you don't win this week, you just have to tune in next week and try again. So it's very, very easy to enter. All you need to do this time around, all you need to do is comment into the chat after I put the lottery jar up. So I am not going to write anything into the chat after this point, because then I end up entering my own name, and that's no bueno. So let me go ahead and put up the lottery jar. It is there. Oh, I didn't put up the comment snake. Let me go ahead and put up the comment snake. There's been plenty. So that lottery jar is now empty, but it can be filled by your profile pictures once you comment. So you can comment pretty much anything you want to, and you'll be entered. So Jenny just commented, I won last week and it was awesome. Don't be shy. So Jenny's in the running. Jenny's in the running. I do try and vary it up. So if Jenny happens to win and there is somebody in here that also hasn't won yet. I might have to pick a new person, but or if not, if people are being shy, then Jenny, you're just going to get another reading. So, but Jenny's right. Don't be shy. Get a reading. And it was awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate it. So Fran has commented Friday. Yeah. And Fran is now entered in to the mid-episode reading. So I don't think I can take you out, Jenny. So we've tried. No, I can't take you out. That is, I mean, that's one of the downsides of a feature being in beta. But I was letting the Be Live people know that I'm enjoying the lottery jar, and that I like it, and that I'm very happy that they've created something native to the third party app, so that I don't have to go elsewhere. Because if some of you are familiar with the mid episode reading that we've been doing since November, I think October or November of last year, might be November. So we've been doing it for a couple of months now. Katie is here. Yeah, I have no idea what to ask this week, but now throw myself in the pot of luck. Yes. Oh, I like that. Let's call it the pot of luck instead of the lottery jar. It is now deemed the pot of luck. You are now the pot of luck. But yeah, we've been doing this since November, and up until a couple of weeks ago, when I found out that this is a beta feature, beta widget in Be Live, we were using a separate picker wheel. And I was having to share my screen. I mean, it does have the benefit of like audio where you hear the spinning wheel and then you hear like the cheers of congratulations, but the detriment is that it's like it's in another tab and I have to like click away from the studio, and it's just, yeah, I'd rather have it all be self-contained in one place. So the odds are now 1 out of 3, because we've got 3 people entered here. So will you be the winner? That is the question. So I am going to use another widget on here and use the countdown. I'm going to give this another 3 minutes. Okay. And I'm going to say contest closes in. And let's give it 3 minutes starting now. And let's see. Because those of you who have commented already and your name is in the jar, the pot of luck, as it were, I think you can just comment again and chat in there for now, and it's not going to like re-enter you again. It's like you're in there one time, you're good to go before I click on get a winner. But for those of you who have not entered yet, please go ahead and comment in the chat. You can comment whatever the hell you want, as long as it's not mean, and be entered into this week's mid-episode reading drawing. And I'm very interested. I have my reading for today from the deep dive from the Alchemical Tarot. And also I wanted to check in with you guys about that. Have any of you been following along with Sophia and my deep dive of the Alchemical Tarot? And have you been attempting to do that on your own? And what have the results been? Because if you enjoy the tarot coming for me, oh boy, it comes for me with that deck. Using that particular method with that particular deck, it comes for me something fierce. Dina is also entered. Dina says, I'll enter for the magic. That is fine. Get your questions percolating so that we can be ready to go as soon as the winner is picked. All right, we have a minute remaining. for this week's mid episode reading drawing. So enter now. Your chances are 1 in 4 to win. If somebody else enters, it's going to be 1 in 5 to win. Yeah, Katie says, I keep watching and thinking I should try that method. It looks a bit terrifying. It is a bit terrifying. Even when I try to be more generic, because I do understand a lot of the time when people follow me on social media, they want their free reading. They want their free card of the day or their free reading. And so I have been trying to make it more general by activating the Fool card, which I think is a great card to be able to activate like in general. But then sometimes the cards will come up and it's very pointedly like, hey, you know that very personal and vulnerable question that you wanted to ask, but you refrained from asking? Like, we're going to answer that right now. And I'm like, ah. And the other day when I did readings, I ended up doing like basically a mediumship reading um, with the tarot. And that was with a different deck. And so the next day I was just like, you know what? Let me go ahead and ask the alchemical tarot about this and activate the moon card, which is both about fear and intuition, and see what comes up. And I got these cards. I can't even remember what cards I got. And I was just like, oh crap, they want me to do more mediumship readings. Like, hey, ha ha ha, I know it's deeply, deeply concerning and scary for you. Not because it doesn't work, but because it does work. But you may need to do this more. And I'm like, damn it. So yeah, yes, you're correct. It's so rude. And I also mentioned that in the latest newsletter as well, where I basically reached out to Sophia and I'm just like, what the hell? This deck is coming for me. And she was like, yeah, it's brutal. And I'm like, you could have told me, you could have warned me, but I guess that's fun, right? That's fun. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, contest is closed. Mid-episode reading is ready. So let's pick a winner. Drum roll, please, on the collarbone tapping point. Da, 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 and get a winner. Oh, Jenny. Jenny. Let me see if I can click it again, but I'm happy to read for you again, Jenny. Maybe it's just a sign that you need another reading. Oh, no, I can do it. Okay. Jenny, would it be okay if Katie takes this one? Yes, Dina, you were added. There were 4 people entered. It was Jenny, it was Katie, it was Dina, it was Fran. So, just Jenny, let me know if Katie can take your reading because you did get the reading last week. Um, and if so, cool. Yes. Okay, cool. So Katie, you're the winner of tonight's mid-episode reading. Please go ahead and write your question into the chat. And if you have any preferences of deck, also let me know. And we will also do some bibliomancy too. But yeah, like Dina, I think this is the first time you're here for the jar of luck. The jar of luck, the jar of magic. Up until now it's been the picker wheel or the wheel of names, but this is a new beta feature that Be Live has, and it's all contained within the studio, so I don't have to go anywhere for it, which is pretty good. Okay. So, Katie, speaking of rude messages and that it's a bit terrifying, what question did you want to ask for the mid episode reading? And while I'm just sitting here waiting for the question, um, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my stars overlay. And I'm just going to pull 3 cards. I'm not going to do the method. It's whatever you want. I would likely go with the reflective tarot. Okay. All right. The question is, just trying to get a handle on the fix up and move to my new house, and I am at a loss of what to do next, sort of overwhelmed. So, any advice would be helpful. I've done lists and done priorities. That's working, but there is just a whole heap of other stuff, and I'm hitting an overload. You can hit me with the method if you wish. I shall guard. I shall guard my throat. Um, no, I don't think I need to hit you with the method, especially if you're already feeling overwhelmed. I don't think like adding on to overwhelm with more overwhelm is just never a good idea. So what I'm going to do is um ask exactly what it is that you're asking. I'll pull 3 cards. I'm using the reflective tarot. I'll read those cards, and then I'll also go to a book. So, is there a particular book, Katie, that you enjoy, that you draw strength from? Because I might recommend you do bibliomancy for this, but I can also do bibliomancy on my end. Okay. Yeah, as I suspected, like the overwhelm, it's not working. Like adding more overwhelm on top of overwhelm is not going to work. It's not going to be helpful. In fact, it's going to end up paralyzing you. And I think you are at that point because the first card that I'm getting is the 10 of Pentacles reversed. So to me, it is that like stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. And I mean, it's not that the 10 of Pentacles reversed is an entirely negative card. In fact, it can be quite positive. There is a ton of stuff to do, but like the whole situation, like underlying all of it, it's just like these changes are happening, but these changes are also new and exciting as well. It's like overload can be happening whether it's a negative situation or a positive situation. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you are at the point, it's not necessarily at a loss of what to do next. It's more like the overwhelm is starting to create a paralysis because it's just too much. So I would say don't completely stop, doing everything. Like don't allow the paralysis to happen. Do little things. And like obviously you know kind of what you need to do or how to like kind of ease yourself. Doing lists, done priorities. That's working, but there's just a whole heap of other stuff and I'm hitting an overload. Like definitely that's what this card is saying. So what it's saying is just like the next card that you're getting is the Ace of Wands. So um there is, amidst the overload, I think when I get questions like this and then I receive the Ace of Wands for a person, it's just like smaller, bite size, even more bite size, where it's just like you think you've parsed it all down to like smaller parts, but it's just like you can parse it down even more. So I would consider doing that, parsing it down into smaller and smaller pieces so that as you add those smaller and smaller pieces up, and put them into the done pile, they start to grow. And it also feels more like a game to you, feels more enjoyable to you rather than like this crushing boulder. It feels almost like you have to dissipate that boulder into like little pebbles. And then even more. So it's almost like you have to pound down the pebbles of what you need to do into like sand to make it easier for you to scoop up into the done pile. Does that make sense? And like making it fun, making it enjoyable, making like having it like gamify it in a way. That's kind of what I'm getting there. And then finally, you do have the Two of Wands coming up reversed. And so to me, that is definitely also talking a little bit about what the Ten of Pentacles is saying reversed. But for this, it's just like you think that you've balanced it out and you think that like I think you're giving yourself a harder time than you need to. Where it's just like instead of like having a quiet moment with a cup of tea and giving yourself a pat on the back of all of the things that you did accomplish, because it has not been an easy situation, and giving yourself credit for all that you've accomplished instead of like sitting down with a cup of tea and saying like, "Wow, I did a lot of good work this week." And even if I didn't, I still am like, okay, like definitely go to the tapping stuff, right? I still love and accept and forgive myself. Okay, I didn't get as much done as I wanted to do this week, but I still love and accept and forgive myself. And maybe it's just a slower week this week and I'll make up for it next week, or maybe I won't, you know? So but instead of doing that, you've been like giving yourself a harder time than you need to. And I think you need to get back to like giving yourself credit for the things that you've already done because you've already done a ton. Yes, there is still a lot to do, but that shouldn't take away from the accomplishment or the achievement that you should feel for the things that you've already done. Yes, hold on. So yes, definitely heading to paralysis. That's why I'm trying to list and prioritize to try and stop that. Smaller bites of the problem, all making sense. Yes. And okay, thank you. I'm not giving myself credit for all the progress I have made. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Do we want a bibliomancy? We don't have to. We don't have to. That's completely up to you. Um, but I would recommend doing a little tap-a-rooing with that cup of tea. That can be your liquid, that can be your water as you move through the problem. But it's just like give yourself credit for the things, you know. And okay, try it for the fun of it. So I'm recommending tapping. So I'm actually going to grab the tapping solution, and I'm going to see maybe what would work. Let's see. Or even a phrase. All right, here and this page. Here. Ooh. Okay. Um, so I happened to land on the end of an exercise in here called Ask Yourself Peeling Back the Layers. So one of the ways we can help peel back the layers so we can see our hidden agendas is to ask ourselves a powerful question. What's the upside of staying stuck where I am or keeping the problem? So secondary benefits, I talk about secondary benefits all the time, not only in tapping, but also in tarot as well. But it's just like, what benefits are you gaining from staying the same? And then tapping around that. The exact where my thumb landed was you've just discovered some reasons why you wouldn't want to change and reasons why you've had to work so hard to get the changes that you've made to stick. No matter how many reasons you have for wanting what you want, the reasons you have for not wanting those changes are more powerful. They win out every time. We'll tap on this resistance to change in just a moment, but for now, just let yourself become aware of these issues and how they might be operating in your life. Yeah, okay. So Katie says, I'm going to try some tapping later. That sounds like an excellent idea. And so called out. I'm so glad. So, yeah, I am going to say, I'm going to give you this I'm going to give you homework, Katie. So ask yourself, what's the upside of staying stuck where I am or keeping the problem, and play with this question and really give it some thoughts. Now ask yourself, what's the downside of things changing or getting over the problem? Again, allow yourself to entertain the idea that there are some downsides to things changing. And see, so here are some responses I've heard from my clients. So this is Nick Ortner. See if they resonate with you. What is the upside of things staying as they are? I won't have to change anything. I get to keep doing what I've been doing. People won't expect more from me. I'm familiar with it. I won't be making someone else uncomfortable. What's the downside of things changing? What will be different? I'll be noticed, more visible. I won't be able to handle it. There will be more responsibility. People will expect more from me. I'll have to work hard to keep it. I won't be able to keep it. I won't have time to relax. What if I put in all this effort and it doesn't work out and they can judge or criticize me? So, yeah. So, there is a tapping script in here directly afterwards that is called Anxiety About Change. Um, and let's see, where am I here? I had flagged this on the tapping tree, which is amazing. But Katie, I might just send you a picture of the tapping script, Anxiety About Change. So I'll do that after the broadcast and I'll send that to you. But yeah, it's just like I would recommend writing all of this down. You also do know how to tap on your own. I'm fairly certain at this point. But I'll send that to you, and then you can modify accordingly. Okay. So yeah, I will do that. I will do tapping on that. Definitely my homework. You're very, very welcome. So notice how you can integrate bibliomancy into some of the divination practices that you may already be doing, or if you're not familiar with divination, how accessible bibliomancy can be in answering your question or providing perhaps a modality like tapping. Like I felt moved to go with this particular book and I did the bibliomancy, and there's the answer and there's part of the solution. It's not going to be 100% solution sometimes, or it might be completely and utterly 100% called out. Who knows? But I hope this helps to kind of illustrate how bibliomancy can be integrated and how accessible it is. So thank you to Katie for allowing me to read for you. Thank you to Jenny for allowing Katie to take on the reading, considering that Jenny got the reading last week. Oh, sure. The book's name is The Tapping Solution, a revolutionary system for stress-free living, and is by Nick Ortner. And also, they have an entire company. It's like The Tapping Solution, and also they're doing a tapping summit right now. I think it's on day 9 or day 10. But all the information can be found at tappingsolution.com, I believe. Hold, please. Let me find that. Yeah, today is oh, this is the bonus tapping meditations day. So I think it's over or ending. And these audios will be available until 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, March 13th. So I'm going to include that into the chat. So, like, day one has a micro boost of self love, quiet my racing mind, you are enough, releasing anxiety. Actually, day four might be exactly the releasing anxiety script here. So, I'm going to include both the main page and I'm going to include the day four because it's very likely that that is the same, the same script. So it's all in there now, but their main page is thetappingsolution.com. So I hope that helps. Yes, Katie's saying thank you to Jenny. All right. Any other questions about bibliomancy? And you're very welcome. You're very welcome for those links and for that suggestion and for the reading. Any other questions about bibliomancy? Because I think the mid-episode reading is more like the 3/4 of an episode reading tonight. And if we have no more questions to answer about bibliomancy, we might as well go into the weekend forecast. So if you're ready for the weekend forecast, give me a hell yeah in the chat. And if you have any particular wants for an oracle or a tarot card, I think I'm going to go with an oracle deck. Usually I feel more compelled to do oracle readings for the weekend forecast rather than tarot readings for the weekend forecast. I don't know why. I don't know if it's necessarily that they're kinder or gentler, because sometimes they're really not kinder or gentler, at least not to me, or at least not in my hands. So Jenny says, thanks for doing a live on this topic. It sounds intriguing, probably because I love books. I love books too, Jenny. And Katie, you're welcome. Yes, I think that was very necessary. I love when that happens too, where it's just like the person that's meant to get the reading is going to get the reading. So yes. All right, go to the weekend reading. Any particular thoughts on Oracle deck? I do have the Moonology close to hand the Moonology Oracle cards by Yasmin Boland. So that's a possibility. Or of course, we can go with my tried and true Work Your Light or Starseed Oracle. So if anyone has any preferences, let me know in the chat. And while I'm waiting for those preferences, I'm going to clean up some of my desk area because it is just covered right now in cards and crystals and books. It's a lot. It is a lot. I mean, and also, here's another quick tip about bibliomancy. Not only can you use bibliomancy by creating your own book of bibliomancy in the same way you would create like your own oracle deck using like index cards, you can also do a little bit of bibliomancy if you journal as well. So like go back to your journals and ask a question and flip through, especially like this is not going to be a great example, I don't think, because this journal hasn't really been filled yet. But I just pulled to a tapping session that I did with Gala Darling in her membership site, High Vibe Honey. And I think I think this was a tapping that she did make available on her YouTube, so you'll have to look out for it. It's one of the more recent ones, and I think it's like leveraging your great traits into the things that you're currently working on, and that's the page that I just turned to. So you can always use bibliomancy and go back to your journals. Jenny is asking, do you have Monica Bodorsky's deck? I'm not familiar. What is the name of it, Jenny? The answer is no. I don't have it because I'm not familiar with the name. Um, so no, I don't have it, but I'd be very intrigued to know what it is. While you're answering me, I'm gonna go grab one of the Oracle decks because I'm not feeling Moonology right now. No. Okay. Had to go a little bit further afield for that one. But I'm going to go with The Spirit Junkie by Gabrielle Bernstein with artwork by Michaela Ezra, which is more of an affirmation stack than a straight up oracle deck. But I still like it. So, and it's been a while since we've done the Spirit Junkie or the Super Attractor. So, Jenny, yeah. Oh, okay. Jenny says it's called Between the Worlds. No, I have not heard of it, but I'm intrigued and I will have to look it up. All right, let's do the weekend forecast. So, again, let me pull this up and let's do the weekend forecast crawler. Okay, so the weekend forecast for this weekend is coming to us from the Spirit Junkie card deck. What do we all need to know for this weekend? What affirmation do we need to take into this weekend? And this is very, very interesting that I'm receiving this card because I am monitoring all of the comments into the chat. And I really resonate with this card. Instead of taking on the fear of others, I reflect love. So that is what I'm doing right now in this very moment and also this weekend. And I would encourage you to do the same. Instead of taking on the fear of love of others, reflect love. I think that's a great way to end the episode. So I thank all of you for watching. Again, we do this every Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you have any specific topics that you want me to cover in upcoming episodes, please always let me know. And I would be happy to cover them if I know about them, or I will bring on an expert. so they can talk about it. So Katie is given the hearts. I thank you all so much for watching. And once again, I am Hilary, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, demystifying the mystical and putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. And you know what? Your intuition is also a reflection of the higher power, love, deity as well, because I firmly believe that not only do we have intuition, all of us have intuition, we are all reflections of the divine spark within. So have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will catch you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday nights. You're very welcome, Jenny. You're welcome to everybody else, all the regular viewers. And if you happen to be stumbling across this particular live stream or replay, you're very welcome to. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Bye.